We're going to be kickstarting our first interview here at the Benin Network Center, where we look at the raging issues as regards, the challenges, the financial burden on parents, and of course on guardians when it gets to, constant purchase of textbooks for their children, both at the primary and secondary school level. We have these challenges where, even despite the fact that we have the impact of the petrol price increase on Nigerians, we keep seeing situations where year in, year out, parents are made to continue to buy textbooks. A friend of mine was saying that even in his apartment, he has a big shelf loaded with books that are useless in the house, because every year you keep seeing this repeating itself. And most especially when even the younger children or younger siblings can't even reuse these textbooks because they place a whole lot of workbooks alongside in the textbooks that make it useless after 1 year. Well, joining me to discuss this is the secretary of the Association for Formidable Education and Development, AFED, and also was former member of the Education Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Education, Edo State, and he of the outgoing government. He was a member of the current outgoing government in Edo State. Join me as we make welcome a proprietor and educationist, Oladele Ogundele. Thanks for coming, Oladele.
Good morning. Good to have you.
All right.
Viewers, thank you.
Well, it's not a mistake to have you on set in the studio with me because we have burning challenges. I remember vividly we've always itemized this and always seeking an opportunity to have this on set. In Edo State, for instance, let's just carve the niche out. We have challenges where a lot of private, schools engage in this act. But let's take your bite on an overview of the constant, changes in textbooks in schools.
Well, yes, it's a challenge, and changes becomes necessary for some reasons. Why we understand the fact that there is so much financial burden, like you said in your intro, on the parents, and I want to also know that same on the proprietors, because we have proprietors that have libraries set up, and these books needs to be updated. So you have to find a way to update them, add up, remove, and just like that. So it's not only parents, but it's quite unfortunate that we're in this, and it's something that has to do with the nature of our curriculum. It's the nature of our curriculum. And if there will be first thing to be done, it should be overhauling our curriculum, because, curriculum has about 4 components, and it's supposed to be, the first one is the aim. That is, because it is from the curriculum that these textbooks are being prepared or extracted from. These authors, though we have some authors that actually they're in just to write junks, and before you know it, have it in the market. But mainly, if there is a proper regulation, there is a proper follow-up, because textbooks supposed to be an extension of a classroom teacher. Textbook is not just supposed to be for what someone that is looking for money, may publish, and you stand up, just sit down, get materials together and write. It's supposed to be an extension of the classroom teacher. So probably people that are supposed to be writing textbooks should have been people that are in the classroom. And if you look at it, when you are there, you should be able to, the teacher should be able to think far beyond the short form of years, so that we can have these books extended to as long as possible. That's one. Another challenge we have when it comes to the impact of this change in textbook is the fact that the school, especially private schools, are not funded. I keep saying this in different fora that education is a social service. Private schools, the way they are being seen today is not the way they are supposed to be seen. Private schools today are seen as, government sees them as schools to go and make money, collectors, gather money. By the time you place financial burden on them, they replicate or they cascade it to the parents and find a way to make sure that they meet up to pay for their taxes. And meanwhile, especially coming to basic education, according to education policy, basic education, which runs from primary 1 to J3, supposed to be free, universal, and compulsory. Now, it is true in the government schools that we have that, but in private schools, you observe that these people ask to pay. They have to pay for it. Therefore, the school owners have to now put the body on them in order to meet up with government demand. That is the truth.
Okay, from what you just said.
Yes.
Because you are a proprietor. You run a school.
Yes, sir.
And you're giving us the impression basically that because these schools, they have the challenge of finance, they basically go this way for the purpose of, making money from parents and guardians in order to make sure that these textbooks are churned out actually. Is it like do they conspire, or is it a connivance of school proprietors with publishers?
No. Now, there is a business aspect of school. It's there. Let's be sincere, because when you are running a school, most of private schools you see, they came in with passion. And I'm telling you that this business aspect, to run, to pay for staff, to pay for teachers, to pay for the running of the school,
made them to get crazy to this point.
No, the financial demand, the required. If I tell you what is required to have a private school in Edo State, in Nigeria, I'm talking about the requirement. If I tell you what they pay for tax, you will be surprised. I've had opportunity to interface with up to about 3 or 4 commissioners in this state since 1999. And I've observed that there is always this aspect with which government face private school to look at them to get money. It's clear that, oh, this is a sector. And probably maybe, I'm not certain, I don't have fact, but maybe they give targets to these commissioners or these officials of government. That, okay, from this education sector, raise this. If not, I'm telling you now that it's supposed to be free, compulsory basic education to J3. Government schools are funded. Government schools are funded. Private school, tell me how many private schools in those states that is being funded, or in Nigeria, that you have from UBE, there is a portion from derivation that is go to basic education. Now, tell me, just measure one school that they've been able to fund, like giving grants. I'm not talking about loan. Majority of this school lives on loan, my brother. They live on loan just to make sure that, and they are providing quality education.
Okay, but should that be the justification for which they will go on this drive to make sure that they connive or they conspire with publishers? Because you have not still hit the nail on the head.
Now look at it.
Because you seem to give the impression that why they do this or why they keep churning out textbooks yearly is because that they are being financially burdened. And if they are financially burdened, they don't seem to be financially burdened because they seem to pass the bulk of their responsibility to the parents and guardians, and in the process make profit from this. So at the end of the day, it's the parents and the guardians that really are financially burdened and not the proprietors.
First, there is nothing like connivance with publishers. Generalities are expensive. I made this point to give a background, a foundation of most of the assumption about private school owners that they are after money. I just gave this.
Okay.
Now, having said that, now when you come to textbooks, I just made a statement just now. It's not private school that provide curriculum. It's government.
We are going there.
That's the framework. Now it's government. And I'm telling you that you know that go and check in Edo State. You have best education mostly in private schools. But these private schools go extra mile to ensure that they blend the curriculum to meet the demand, the need of the society. Now, when you now talk about they don't connive. This is what happened. What happened is these publishers, they have their own expenses for the fact that things are very expensive generally. That is one. Two, like I said, that if government really, this concern you are raising is really a concern to government. I used to say it, I said, presently, the only people that are not complaining of expenses are the politicians that lives or depend on the resources of the public. But even if you are earning money, even government officials that are earning money, even if you are earning 500,000, in this economy, it's very, very hard. Now, these publishers need to meet up with the demand of papers, with the demand. I'm not defending them. I'm just making you to see reality, because I'm a realist. We should say the fact. Now, the demand of news of printing, the demand of the workers, the service providers to the making up of these textbooks, that they have to pay them. Then coming to the fact that government, even is a concern, what government will do is, this is education. This is our future. This is what determines the progress of the developmental developmental needs of our environment. Therefore, there should be a kind of investment.
Okay, why you are saying that that's quite important and significant, but a survey was taken. I don't know if we have the statistics in Edo State. If we have, you tell me. I'll bring it to our observation. A survey was taken in Lagos State where they said over 18,000 private schools are existent in Lagos State, and this is as a result of, parents and guardians always looking out for, better education in private schools, because they seem to have lost confidence in public schools. A situation where you have about 1,700 public schools in Lagos State, you have over 18,000 private schools in Lagos State. And I won't be surprised again if we do the statistics in those states, because there's this fever that came when it was seen that public schools are not rendering the quality in education that was expected. And so parents started taking their children away from public schools and flooding the private schools. Is it to say that the private schools are seeing this as an opportunity, have decided to embark on business? Because you mentioned you are a member of the advisory committee in education.
Yes.
You were a member of the advisory committee of education of the Ministry of Education. And you keep talking about Edo State, or the government need to look into this critically. Now, as a member of the advisory education committee zoned from the Ministry of Education in Edo State, what impact have you made in this regard? Because I expect that there should be a way in which you can leverage on, getting efforts of the government or the Ministry of Education to help alleviate the plight facing, private schools, in order for them not to transfer the burden or financial burden to the parents or guardians.
Thank you very much. I'm happy for this question. Now, you see, by God's grace, when we had that committee set up, we had addressed by the Honorable Commissioner, Dr. Joan Verwe, and we had a very robust meeting. And going forward, then one day we had a scheme of work review at JUPSA, and I was to make presentation on textbooks. You see, now when I was to make that presentation, I made some point there that first, like I said, that for us to remove junks that could contribute to this reviewing of textbooks every year, they should start using, they should approving books from classroom teachers. They have experience. It's an extension of them. Okay, that's one. Two, I also in that in my presentation, I said that there should be a kind of uniformity in the use of textbooks so that we reduce these junks that make us to bring in new textbooks every year. I will tell you as of today that Ministry of Education listen. Last week or last 2 weeks, just a few days to the resumption of this term, the ministry released approved books, which we don't normally have before. In Edo State, I can say to that.
Approved books with work books in it, work exercises. in the textbooks.
Because
that's where the problem comes
from. I know.
By the time the pupils or the students use the textbook in work exercises, it becomes useless.
No, that's not the kind of textbook, the one that are released out. It's even books that...
it's not with work exercises.
No, if you have a workbook, it will be separate.
Separate from the textbook.
Yes, so that when you use that workbook can go, that textbook can be passed on.
Exactly.
If you have, that is what we're having. The only thing is, there should be enough orientation so that these are schools. Though I also faulted the fact that it is coming a bit late. Because that kind of release ought to have been during holiday. Or probably, so that because some schools
are not adhering to it.
Yes.
They are not adhering to it.
No, they are adhering to it.
No, because even prior to resumption, parents, guardians, they go to schools and buy books.
Yes.
So they must have already bought
but for the fact that
books.
they are even listening, we are even starting something. I'm talking about Edo State is good. Coming to the number when you're talking about statistics in Edo State, I can tell you, I am the state secretary of one of the associations. We have a coalition. We know the numbers of private schools in Edo State. Apart from government, private school has the largest employer of labor in Edo State today, outside Edo State government. But what I keep saying to government is this: if they are serious about this, there will be more collaboration, there will be more engagement, there will be more funding.
I don't get it when you say there will be more funding, because if you look at what you guys do as proprietors, you get whatever you use for your projects from school fees, and you tax the parents for that. Okay. The school fees is quite expensive as compared to that have been charged as tuition in public schools.
In Edo State, we have three categories of schools are categorized into three. As I speak to you, like Igbinedon Education Center, that is category 1. Go and ask them how much they will pay for tax. And you're telling me that is what is making that school fees to be like what they ask them. So that's why when I say funding, I know what I'm saying. What they will pay for renewal.
Okay, are you saying as a proprietor?
Yes.
As a member of AFED, are you saying that you people run at a loss?
A lot. We run charity organization.
Then how do you pay salaries?
How do you pay? Some of us borrow. Why some of us want to pay salary, you are left with yourself. I know what I'm saying. I can give you facts.
Because commonsensically, it's expected that proprietors, they calculate the monies from fees, and if they see that they are not enough, they find a way to, boost the fees by asking for more from parents.
I want to ask,
and that's exactly what happens.
I want to ask you a question. If you want to enroll for primary 6 exam, presently we call it middle basic assessment. It's no longer primary 6 exam. It's no longer a certificate exam now in Edo State. Okay? It's called middle basic assessment, MBA. Then if you want to enroll for BESE, Basic Education Certificate Examination, that is the J3. Now, in Ministry of Education, it is free in government school. Once private school want to submit the list of their students, it is tagged and an amount is put in front, and you pay for it.
Don't you charge your pupils and students over that?
Why do I charge? Because government said they put price. I will not charge government and nurse and said it's free everywhere.
So if you charge at that level as a proprietor, it means you've already gotten the fees that you are paying, that is being demanded by the ministry.
You are not coming
again, you have made some profit.
You are not coming to what I say when I say funding. If government take it as a sole responsibility in our budgetary allocation, we used to have primary J3 exam allocation, we used to have primary 6 exam allocation in budget. It's in budget. Are you following me? It's not something that I'm seeing. We used to see it. It's in the public domain. Now, if government now come up and said, exam is free, private and government school is free everywhere. If government says so, you think I have right to? I won't do that. Once they are the jingle is on, I won't have that power to do it.
Okay.
Presently, we have a conference of PTA and private schools, PTA are involved, managed by state government. Exactly. They will not tell them that, please don't pay any money to any proprietor for primary 6 exam. Exactly. So when I'm talking about funding, I know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that to give money, though there is a place of that. Giving money to private school, there is a place for that. They can give them loan, they can give them grants.
Okay, if I got you rightly, you are saying that these funds are important in order for private schools not to engage in, astronomical increase.
Thank you.
Tuition, of course, other charges or fees that they charge, pupils and students. by which such financial burden really the parents and the guardians. But again, while we look at that, just to let you know, in case you're just joining us as TMI, and we're looking at the annual, changes in textbooks for primary and secondary education. We're looking at the cost, the benefits, and the alternatives. And I've been discussing with a member of the Association for Formidable Education and Development at Edo State, and he was a former member of the Education Advisory Committee of the Ministry of Education, and former member in the present outgoing government. Let's look at the aspect where we get alternatives.
Okay.
Because we already know that it's cost effective for parents and guardians.
It is.
So outside the funding of the schools or getting some, grants from the state government or federal government, as the case may be, what do you see as an alternative? Because my mind is going to the publishers. My mind is also going to some conspiracy theory. My mind is also going to maybe some lukewarm, efforts not being carried out by the regulatory body. I see some slack in that direction, because if we are to nip it in the bud, it then means that, like you said in the curriculum, now the publishers are supposed to be given a go-ahead or an approval on the books that they use or they circulate in schools. And this approval usually comes from the Ministry of Education. And so if the ministry keeps a blind eye, I know you are not representing the ministry, but you were a member of the Education Advisory Committee. So if the ministry keeps a blind eye, then this challenge will occur. So what do you see as alternative in nipping this in the bud, coming from intervention from a ministry and, of course, otherwise from the proprietors?
Okay, thank you very much. First, there should be our curriculum to be overhauled, and it should be targeted towards what we need, not just anything, so that you don't go and waste resources on what you don't need before you now discover what you need. Okay?
And the curriculum is done by
the ministry.
With collaboration?
The national, that is, with national policy on education.
In collaboration with school proprietors, or?
Yes, we get involved at a very
minimal level.
Yes, minimal level, because if they've involved us, the truth of the matter is that we are the one that knows what is going on the street more. I'm telling you. So now that aside,
so with this, it doesn't reduce the copiousness or the quality of education or of learning by these pupils and students. If these textbooks are not, if workbooks are not included in the textbooks, it doesn't reduce the quality of learning that the students will get, does it? After all, you can have workbooks separate from the textbooks.
Yes,
like you said.
Yes, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So there is need to visit this aspect and reject the process.
Yes, there is real serious need. Okay. That's a fact. Then another one there is, let's say, be digital books. We have e-books, and with e-books, I know someone who is attending a private school in Edo State, and this session they told them that, please, one of our member schools, please, we are going to introduce more of e-books, because you can update on that, and also you may not need to buy. So children having access to digital resources like that, the environment is already digitalized. They know how to. So that will help them. Then also another thing that needs to be done is there should be. I want to portray that point you were making. There should be government involving in these publishers. If possible, address them. Okay. If possible, have a meeting with them. If possible, tell them this is what this is journeying towards. It will really be of help.
Thank you. Well, as you embark on, you're already in the new session, and so basically...
Yeah, we just started.
Okay, but you must have paid the fees or the salaries of your employees.
We have to pay that month, because that month there was no school. You understand, school because of election in those states.
But yours has been
paid. We have to, we have to look for a way. Okay. Even if you can't pay them, some of us pay half. I'm telling you, if I tell you what school owners are going through, so we cut it to and pay our appeal.
Okay, but did you run at a loss last time? As a proprietor?
Myself?
You have to be careful the way you respond to this, because I'm going to investigate it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Do I run at a loss? Should I tell you yes? Let me tell you, I'm in school business because of the passion.
Oh.
So are many others.
Oh.
And we are hoping that as time goes on, we will be able to, because if once you increase your fee, another school is close by, the other one will reduce its own.
It's
They
highly
will move
competitive.
here.
Exactly.
You get it now, to that side.
Okay.
And you will be at loss.
Big
But
thanks,
do you know why, if you ask me, say, do you know why you know how much I pay for tax last this month for my tax clearance?
That's another issue that should be discussed or engaged.
Hey, Lord.
Big thanks, Ladele Ogudele,
you,
for taking
thank
part
you.
of this.
Thank you.
Well, that's where we'll call it a close on this conversation.